Previous video we saw how we can test our Streamlit application on the browser. So I also said that the application is running on port number 8051. I misspoke, it's actually 8501. Just make note of this particular port because that is the port we will be exposing inside our Docker container. So if you want to stop the Streamlit application from running, just press Ctrl C inside your terminal and it should stop. Once that is done, the focus now would be to build a Dockerfile, which can actually build the entire application inside a container, and we can deploy it on any cloud platform. Uh, like in this series, we will actually focus on AWS. So just go back to your project folder and create a Dockerfile. Once a Dockerfile is created, um, there seems to be some kind of an error. Actually, there's nothing in the file itself. So just proceed. We basically would type from Python, and that is the base image we would be using, 3.10, and we'll be using the image from Streamlit itself. After we do that, we need to create a working directory which will be used by the code, which will be used by the container, to use the code inside it and build the application in that respective directory. So we create this directory, and we basically copy everything in the project folder, that is the requirements.txt file inside this particular folder, which is app. So let me just quickly write requirement.txt, and we just make a new file with the same content, or you can just do copy requirements.txt space dot. It basically means the same thing. I'll paste the Docker file in the project repo, so you can just directly copy or use the same file itself. Next, we need to copy the app.py file, which contains the application logic, into a new file inside the app folder, which is app.py. Once that is done, we need to do a run pip install -r requirements.txt. So all the dependencies get installed inside the Docker container. Now, as I said, the application is running on port number 8501. We expose that port. The port would be 8501. And after that, our entry point to the application would be Streamlit. Actually, let me just type it in small. Streamlit, and then space run, because in the terminal when we wrote the way we were running this application was Streamlit run and app.py. Now here we used capital S in Streamlit, like capital S, Streamlit run app.py, but the small s also works, like this one. If you just write everything in small, Streamlit run app.py, that would also work. That is why we use that here. Once that is done, the command, since we've given an entry point, the command then would be like run. But what exactly should run? It should run app.py. Sorry, like the caps lock is on. Once this is done, this is like a basic Docker image which we have created. And once we do a Docker build and try to run this Docker image, it will not work. The reason it doesn't work is because even though we go to requirements.txt file and the Docker image which basically import like Streamlit package inside the Docker container and run the application logic from that, that is not how Streamlit actually works. Installation of Streamlit also requires a respective binary file. So even though we have imported Streamlit in our requirements.txt txt file, the Docker container may not be able to find this binary file. So the purpose of this binary file is used for initializing Streamlit. So that's why we need to create a binary file first and then install the respective dependencies inside the Docker container. So so that when we run the application, the Streamlit binary file generated, uh, basically, like I'll show you how the code how to do that, can be used by the application to actually run Streamlit inside the Docker container. And the way we do that is, let's go back to our Docker container. Sorry, not the Docker container, but the Dockerfile. So the only change which we need to make is under the working directory, that is work directory slash app, we need to paste this code. And what this code does is basically it first updates and installs any packages which we need to clone this repo. And this repository is basically Streamlit's own repository, and install the required packages to make a binary file for Streamlit. So after it has done that, it clones this repository inside our container, and using this repository, it builds a binary file for Streamlit. That binary file is then utilized by our application to run Streamlit inside our Docker container. When we push this on Amazon ECS and run it in the browser, if we don't paste this code, Streamlit will not be able to receive the user text, and it will not be able to give out the desired summary of the user text. So this is a really essential step, and you'll find a copy of this Docker file in the project repository. Lastly, since we used a base image of Python 3.10, we'll just switch back to Python 3.9 so that there are no issues later. In the next video, I'll teach you how to use this Docker file and build a Docker container and push it on Elastic Container Registry. Once we do that, while doing that, I'll also teach you the best practices for choosing your respective build commands based on the kind of platform or the architecture you are using, and what significance does it play when choosing your architecture when deploying it on Elastic Container Service. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. This will be all be clear in the next video. See you in the next video now.